Hello and welcome to a van video, the first one I've done for quite a while because I've been moving off the boat and into a house which is now done, still waiting on some furniture. Apparently it takes weeks and weeks for furniture to be made and delivered, but essentially I'm in the house and that is now kind of all sorted so I can get back to doing van stuff. And something I mentioned in a previous video that I want to do is take the gas out of the van, by which I mean, for overseas viewers, not gas petrol but gas propane. I want to take the propane out and make it a gas-free van. I want to have a whacking great lithium battery in and an induction cooktop, and also of course I will have to take out my gas heater unit and I will put in instead a diesel heater unit. Now that should hopefully be a fairly straight swap because the exhaust and air inlet pipe should be much the same and it can go in the same location. In terms of taking the gas out, obviously the cylinder will come out, the cooktop 2-burner hob will come out. That is one complete unit with the sink, so that's going to come out as well, and I will replace it with a portable induction cooktop that I've got. Need to put a bigger lithium battery in, I'll need to put a bigger inverter in to drive the cooktop, and I'll probably need to put in a DC to DC charger because the solar probably won't be enough on its own to keep that battery charged. So let's get started with taking things out. The gas cylinder, as you can tell, is stored in this gas safe locker, which just has a couple of, how do these open? Oh, that's tight. Turn screws, then that comes off, and there it is. Now that is a refillable 6 kilogram Gaslow cylinder. It's turned off at the moment at the cylinder, but I will need to detach the high pressure fill pipe, which is that transparent looking pipe, and that has probably still got liquid gas in it from when it was last filled, because of course the cylinder will have a cut off, but when you take the filler away there's probably still gas in the pipe. And here on the side of the van is where the filler is. I put that little cap on, and when you detach it there's a little foot of gas, but I'm quite certain there'll still be some liquid in there which will also go pht and turn from liquid to gas state when I detach it. I dropped an email to Gaslow and said, is there anything special I need to do when detaching that hose? And they seemed entirely unbothered by it. I said, yes, there probably will still be some gas in there, so just do it gently and make sure you're outside and so on. Obviously you are with a van, but you know what I mean, in a well-ventilated space so the gas can just disperse. So I will do that gingerly. So, as MC Hammer famously said, spanner time. It occurs to me that one thing I might just do, even though the gas cylinder is off, there is probably also still a little low pressure gas between the cylinder regulator and the hob. So I'll just light that to burn that off. And as this thing never lights properly on the igniter on the hob, I will just do it with a match, which is how I normally light the hob. There may not be any. No, it's not going. Okay, that's fine. So the low pressure side seems to have no gas left in it. That's good. I don't know if you can see this, but I'm just going to turn off the shut off between the regulator and the hob. So anything coming out of here will stop at the regulator. I don't think that's strictly necessary, but turning the knobs off seems like a good plan. And as I mentioned, it is turned off, so there shouldn't be any gas coming out of the cylinder down the low pressure hose. Okay, let us then start by taking off the pipe from the cylinder to the regulator. Again, there's probably a little bit of gas on that, but it'll be relatively low pressure. Now that's a conventional connection, so righty-tighty, lefty-loosey. A little bit of gunge on the end of that. Okay, that's off. So the only other one to take off to loosen up the cylinder is the high pressure fill pipe. Okay, let's do that very gently. In fact, is that spanner even going to fit in there? What I can do is loosen the cylinder from its thing that holds it in place, strap that holds it in place, safety strap. And if that's loose, I could tilt that a little bit, or at least move it forward a little bit. And you can see that the liquid inside is moving around because the gauge is jiggling. There's quite a lot of gas still in this. Right. But I wonder if I should simply bring the whole cylinder out. There's enough slack on that pipe, I think. Oh, there we go. Now then, there isn't quite enough length of pipe to put this down on the floor. Is that a righty-tighty, lefty-loosey? I can't remember. That's not helpful. Right, there is space to put it on the floor. In fact, oh my God, that's on tightly. I mean, I suppose it should be. There we go. Yes, I can hear and smell gas coming off that. So I'm just going to let it vent. Yep, distinct smell of propane, but the hissing noise has stopped. And there we go. Let that gently drop down there. Good, that was less dramatic than I feared. Now, with the cylinder out and any gas that was in the pipelines purged and free to air, the system is essentially safe. The cylinder I will put up for sale. If you want to buy a Gaslow cylinder, let me know. It's had relatively little use. It's 5 years old. I think they have a 10-year recertification on them, so after another 5 years it needs to go back to Gaslow to be re-pressure tested. When did I? It must have been 2018 I bought it, so in fact it's 4 years old. So it's got some life left in it, and I've only ever refilled it twice, so it's not had a lot of use. So I just need to take the filler hose off and then take the gas cylinder itself out. What I'm going to do is, if I'm putting a diesel heater in instead, I don't want the hassle of trying to drop the van's diesel tank so that I can plumb into the main diesel tank. I will just, for simplicity's sake, do what they do when they supply you with those diesel heater kits. They give you a little separate tank for putting diesel in to supply the heater, and I will put it where the gas cylinder was. I suspect the one they supply, they tend to be long and thin. I suspect it won't fit, but a plastic tank of some sort is now going to go there where the gas tank was. I have almost forgotten, I need to take off the regulator, of course, which is fastened to the top there, and then the pipework inside the van, but that's just a matter of unscrewing all the little brass connections in there. Do I mean brass or copper? I forget. I think they're brass, aren't they? Anyway, they can all be unscrewed. You see, there's the regulator mounted to the top of the gas locker, and then the pipework, which is invisible there, but it goes that way. Oh, there we go. Goes that way towards the sink and hob. So a little bit of unscrewing on those. And then, of course, I did bolt this gas locker. I bolted it to the base of the van so that it wouldn't rock around and disturb the pipework. So that's going to need to come out, and that's going to need to come out. Unless, just for simplicity's sake, I leave the locker in place, put the diesel tank in here and take the diesel feed out the top. I might do that. It'll make life a lot simpler. And although it's a gas locker, it'll now just become a diesel locker. I should be able to get this first piping connection off just with a simple pair of pliers. Oh, that's okay, that's trying to... Oh, bloody hell. There we go. Look, there we go. Right, it does help if you unscrew things the right way. I was trying to tighten it up there. And it's now unscrewed. Little brass olive behind it, or copper, whichever it is, I forget. and essentially that pipe can then go backwards once I've freed it off the hob. The other thing I need to do, of course, is remind myself how I attached the filler pipe behind the filler inlet thing. So I'm going to have to grovel around under the van for that. Why did I have to choose a day when it's been raining overnight? Oh. Now then. Oh yes, I remember this. There's a plate, just a bit of under tray of the van here, which unbolts. I think it's 2 bolts. There's a bolt there and then a bolt there. Then I can actually see what I'm doing. Right, I'm going to need a light as well. As I say, this is just part of the trim of the vehicle underneath here, keeping mud and water from splashing up. I don't know why, it's only the back of the van. Oh, and a spider. Thanks, spider. You go over there. Don't drop onto my face while why do they drop onto your face? Honest. Oh no, that's all right. Thought I'd broken the thing, but actually that's just the nut. So that must be free now. Right, where's the other end? Is that it? I should probably go back and watch my old videos. Is that a screw? Oh, that's a screw. That one's a nut, that one's a screw, and that one's a screw. Ah. Okay then, screwdriver it is. Where are my screwdrivers? Oh, now, lying down without squishing the little spider. Oh, he's going away, that's a good idea. Right, that must be too big, it won't go in. Oh, that doesn't go in either. What? I bet these are Torx. I have a feeling these are Torx. Now, I do have a set of Torx screwdrivers because I had to buy them for the initial fit out. Yes, they are. Yes, that's a Torx 10, if memory serves me correctly. Ugh. Right, there's all my... Ended up buying one of everything for the van fit out. Right, there's a small Torx. What's that? That's a 15, that's a 25. That's a 10. That's a much bigger one, which was taking the bumper off, if I remember rightly. And that's a 20. One of these will do the job. Let's not lose that bit. Right, here we go again. Oh, hello. I think I may have got the right one straight away. Look at that. That is the TT 20x100. Whatever that means. Either way, it's the right one for taking this out. The other question is, why do I always end up doing this kind of stuff in October, November, December, autumn, winter time? Why don't I do it when it's dry and warm? Now then, with those removed, that should just slide forward, I think. It's not held on by anything desperately sophisticated. Oh, blast. Plus, of course, the exhaust pipe for the heater comes through that bit of trim, so I'm going to have to take that off to take the trim off. Right, that is a bolt. What did I do with my pliers? Oh, my, ow. What did I hold that on with? Right, it's a smaller one than that. Ooh, that's a tiny, tiny bolt. Surprised that's holding anything on, frankly. I'm going to have to do that with pliers. Ugh, keep hitting my head as well. What did I just do with the pliers? I used them taking the gas bottle off. Ay, ay, ay. It's going to be this one thing that messes up the whole plan, isn't it? Do you know, I think it actually is. Well, it's got to come off by hook, or indeed crook. Oh, it doesn't want to. Right, going to have to think about this. I am ashamed to confess, I just broke that off with brute force and using a pair of pliers to yank it out of the plastic. On the upside, I can now continue. So this bit of plastic trim now just comes off that. No, it still doesn't want to because the bit I couldn't get off is getting in the way of me taking it off. However, it's off enough for me to be able to access the bit I need. Oh, it would be handy if I could... Oh, come on. There we go. There we go. Right, plastic trim out the way. The trim itself is unharmed. It's just up here I've left a little mess. I can't work out what that was. It's just a screw thread. There wasn't even anything on the other side. Well, that was holding onto the plastic with great tenacity. Anyway, that's the exhaust pipe from the heater. So now I just need the big pliers, which I didn't obviously bring down. They're now in the van. I need them to unscrew the filler cap. Oh, I sound like Chewbacca at times like this. Oh. Right, thanks to the marvels of an iPhone torch, you can see the filler cap and obviously just the one bolt bringing the pipe down, and that should come off. And then I just need to remember how I actually attached the plastic filler cap to the fan. I think it's those little screws. I think it's just 5 screws bolting into the side of the van. And indeed the filler pipe did just unscrew, so this is now free. There was another little waft of smell of gas, but I'm hopeful that will pull straight up through all this conduit. Or not, as the case may be. Is it too big for the conduit? How did I get it down there in the first place? The mind boggles. There is a gentle whiff of propane, so I'm just going to give it a couple of minutes to disperse. A couple of minutes later, and I think I'm just going to yank the whole thing up in its little bit of conduit. No. Right, there's the conduit. See, I'd put it in a bit of this stuff for safekeeping. And... well, I must have put the vent in before I put the pipe through. Oh, here we go, here we go. There we go. Looking a little bit slightly green and grubby from being underneath the van. But that is a gas filler pipe. Now, I don't want to end up with any muck in that pipe, so I shall try and keep it nice. So I will keep it in here, because the idea is to sell on the bits. Incidentally, you might be thinking, surely going induction hob electric cooking only is a really bad idea if you want to go camping in winter, because the solar panels clearly won't provide very much, albeit you get the odd nice day like today, but largely in winter the solar won't be doing a lot. And even with a DC-DC charger, you'd have to drive around quite a lot to give you enough oomph to actually do any cooking. But I've always had in the van, as a backup, one of these little cheap little gas cooker things, which you put a little cylinder in the side. So I intend to keep that, although actually that does look kind of wonky. Ooh, is it supposed to look like that? I've never used it, I've never even put a cylinder in it, but you just slap a gas cylinder in there and turn it. There's loads of camping people have these, so I'll have that as a backup. So if on a day when there is not enough solar and the battery is fully discharged, I can still make a cup of tea with that. Although I might just... That does look disturbingly wobbly, given that that's the actual gas burner thing. I'll test it out before use. Test it out outdoors in a safe place. So that's my backup plan. Now, if I am going to leave the gas locker in situ, which honestly I am sorely tempted to do, because taking out these bolts, which I gunged up, of course, to make sure they were gas safe and weren't going to, any escape gas couldn't get down into the bowels of the van. So taking this out is going to be a bit of a pain, but I will need to seal that hole up. That's the hole that the filler pipe came through and is just out to the bottom of the van. So I'll probably need to squirt some filler foam in that. I would have thought that would be the simplest solution to filling that hole up. And then I'll put the diesel tank in there, take the LPG stickers off, put a diesel tank in there, and the pipe from the diesel can just feed out where the old gas pipe goes. I think that's the simplest and most practical solution, surely. There is the gas filler, and this lid just twists and pulls off. I think it's on a little retainer cable. Oh, maybe not. Thought it was. Okay. And there is the filler. Ah, now, you may not be able to make this out. I'm not sure. Yes, you can. Look, 4 screw heads. So if I just unscrew those, I think the brass bit will come out. And then it's just a matter of getting the remainder of this this plastic bit off. Well, that's also coming off suspiciously easily. There may be a nut on the other side, I can't remember. There's one of the screws. There's another screw. I say screw, they're more like little bolts. Right, why aren't you coming out? There we go. And with that, one gas filler thing, which again I'd like to keep clean, so I'll put that in the van. Oh, I've managed to lose the bolts on the other side. Well, that's okay. They're contained. Quickly back under here to see what happened to the bolts. One there. Now, why have I only got 2 of those? 3 of those. Where's the 4th? I've got 2 nuts and 3 bolts. The filler cap could do with being kept nice as well. Is this bit... Oh, there's a little bracket that I see that those bolts screw into. Oh, that's weird. Where's the other bolt gone? Can't have fallen out backwards. How very strange. Oh, there's another nut. 3 nuts, 3 bolts. Aha! Aha! What's that? No, that's just muck. But I felt somewhere there another nut. No, another bolt. Where's the missing 1, 2, 3, 4 bolts, 3 nuts? It's not the greatest loss in the world if I can't find that, but just fractionally annoying. And then I suspect the remainder of this filler is being held in place by the plastic padding, and I suspect I'll never be able to get that out. It feels very solid. I hadn't anticipated that. Oh no, hang on, that is loose. Oh. Oh. You know what? The only way that's going to come out is forwards. And in order for it to come out forwards, I need to take the bumper off the whole van. It's not hard, it's just there's a lot of bolts and parking sensors and gubbins. Oh no. Yes, yeah, I'm going to have to take oh. That's assuming that actually will come free, but I think it will. How very tiresome. Shush everybody, quiet, don't tell, don't look. This is not my prettiest work, but what you can see there is I've managed to loosen the bumper enough that I could push from inside the remaining plastic bit of the filler cap out of its mounting. So if I can just squeeze it out from behind the bumper, I've saved myself a lot of bother. It still may not prove feasible, but let's have a go. Just needs to go. Yes, yes, oh yes, 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 yes. Oh, come on, yes, 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 yes. Oh, look at that. Completely undamaged, completely fine. None the worse for the wear. And I'll put the old filler cap back in there that I had that kept that looking neat. Oh, that's a joy. Not least because I cannot for the life of me remember how to get this trim off. I'm sure there was a bolt up here somewhere. I can't find it. Anyway, I'll just stick back the bit of wheel arch that I pulled out to make that happen. And I can go inside and start taking the gas pipes out. And now, in what should be one graceful, easy movement, I can put the trim back on. I realise I'm being optimistic with that description. Right, those are the two Torx bolts. That's the other one that went somewhere. Oh, that's the one that was at the front. Right, that's the one that holds that to that. That's a 10mm bolt going into what feels like a captive nut on the other side, but it might just be stuck. However, that binds the bit of the bumper to the wheel arch. And with that back on, I can then put this bit of under tray back over the exhaust pipe for the heater, which came off, so it will go back on again. I am determined it should be. Thus, mind you, when I've got that off, maybe I should pull that P-clamp off. Why is the whole thing moving? No, I'm going to leave it as it is for now. I'll sort that out when I do the diesel heater install. Right, let's try and get that back on. There we go. Right, after the usual amount of swearing, which is to say quite a lot, that bit of trim, which is this bit, is now back with all the bolts in the right place. And yes, the air intake for the heater is slightly odd, being fixed to the spare wheel, but it's the only place I had to put it at the time. I keep meaning to put a better place for it. And then the exhaust is just dangling at the moment. I'd do that, but I think the camera will go mad. Yeah, let's do it that way. Ugh. It's just dangling at the moment. It was fixed with this up here a bit, but I'm just going to have to let it dangle. I don't think it's going to come to any harm. It's not like I go off-roading in this. I'm not going to be going over any big bumps that smack into... Oh, goodness me. Smack into that. That's not good, is it? Lots of crud accumulated over the years. Anyway, I'll get a new bolt and fix it properly at some point when I do the next heater install. And then over here we just have a nice big hole which I'll put the little filler thing back into. And by filler thing I don't mean the actual gas filler cap, I mean the blanking plate. There we go, that just goes all around there like that. And seals the hole off quite neatly. So that is that. Now I can go inside and start taking out the pipework there, although I need a quick pee. No, in fact, progress has just been halted because as I got up to just pack everything up for a second or two, something twanged in my back, as it does sometimes when I have been contorting myself, and I can feel that if I do any more contorting it's going to twang properly, and then I will be in extreme pain. So I think, in fact, I'm going to call a halt for today, and then when I've had a little lie down and a chance to recover, perhaps tomorrow, I will come and finish taking the inside pipework out. I do not want to risk it. I've had the back twang before while on the boat, and it makes you immobile, so I don't want to risk it. Anyway, that'll do for today, I think.